Okay, wrestling fans, it's Mike. I want to talk with you about, when I say with, it's because I want your brain to actively be functioning as I'm speaking. Just let your thoughts go into places of discussion as if you and I were having a conversation together. Now, what we're going to talk about here is wrestling, pro wrestling. I'm not calling it sports entertainment, I'm calling it pro wrestling, and how the internet, and especially social media, namely Twitter and Facebook, but mostly it's a Twitter thing. I don't do Instagram, okay, call me 2009, whatever the fuck. I'm just not into it, but I guess I could be. But let's just stick with Twitter for now. That seems to be the most interactive platform for pro wrestlers to engage with their audience. And it seems like the whole big deal is some wrestler will some fan will say some obnoxious shit. Some wrestler will finally get it, so enraged that they have to Twitter back, and then it becomes a thing. And I had this a few weeks ago with myself, and I got very excited because Joey Ryan acknowledged something I wrote. And now, to me, it was the biggest thing in the world. Oh my God, Joey Ryan. But it's like, I met Joey Ryan years ago, 2012 in fucking LA, NWA Hollywood. Nice guy. And then since then, I think years later, he started doing the infamous maneuver that he does, and Jim Cornette, and so on and so forth. And so I chimed in, and he defended himself, and blah, blah, blah. So for wrestlers and fans to get into it with each other, I think that's good, actually, because it's kind of like when I was a kid, and a friend of mine, my dad, my father, and I went to a wrestling show with one of my friends, and my friend spat on Greg the Hammer Valentine, to be exact, and also, well, I'll tell the whole goddamn story. First, my friend spat on another wrestler, Big John Studd, and the venue almost kicked us all out because my friend spat on Studd. And then Valentine was in the last match of the night, and he lost, and then my friend spat on Valentine, and he figured you can kick us out now because we already, the show's over. So, I guess if you're a bad guy wrestler, if you don't want to get spat on, don't go on last or whatever the fuck. But anyway, apologies to Studd and Valentine on behalf of Brian Hazard, to be exact, for spinning on them. But anyway, moving forth and so on and so forth. What the fuck is this thing about? I just got caught up in memory lane. But basically, now that's the spit. Twitter is the new spit, okay? Tweets to wrestlers that you don't like is the new spit. And there's this whole thing going on, and I won't justify what's going on, but I did another video about it. Wrestlers kind of getting upset or getting offended, or fans, or this whole subculture, which I guess I'm in, of people who make a few nickels or a few dollars off of doing podcasts, wrestling podcasts. I've got the insider information. And it's funny because you can see a guy like Meltzer or even Wade Keller, guys that I respect, but you'll see people Twitter to them and ask them questions, and what their response, on a smart one would be Meltzer or Wade Keller will always say, "It's in the podcast tonight." And then you go to their fucking website and you find out you have to subscribe to their goddamn podcast. Well, I'm not doing that. I'm just doing these free videos for fun. Now, power be to them if they can make $10 a month off of whoever the fuck for their VIP fucking memberships. But that's not what I'm all about. It's just about talking about bullshit and seeing what the fuck happens. But as far as this topic goes of internet, social media, and wrestlers, the other thing I just want to kind of remind or inform some of these younger fans, now the whole big dick in the ass thing is that all these women WWE wrestlers are offended at fucking Ronda Rousey coming in, and Nia Jax even, who I do like, saying, well, okay, great for her, but she's taking, attention away from 30 women who made history and all this stuff. But, Ronda wants a match with, Nia wants a match with Ronda. So if Nia is going to be the one to take on that Undertaker role of locker room leader and say, hey, fuck you, bitch, meaning Ronda, and I'm not being offensive, I'm just saying this is the emotions, that good. You know what I mean? Like, we should be encouraging this. And there's this whole other thing. I did a video called The Renee Young Problem, which addresses this kind of watering down, or this let's not fight type of feeling that I get. And in my life, it's very strange, okay, that Trump is elected president because he's so volatile, he's so emotional and all over the place. But it seems like in society as a whole, people want everyone to be friends. We have all these instruments, you know, of time killing, which is really what all that it is. Social media, Facebook, Twitter, all this shit. It's just ways to kill time. Let's be honest. It's just ways to kill a day, if you really think about it. I mean, you could read a book or you could go on Twitter. It's just killing hours off your life. So the point is, why do we get upset when wrestlers get upset? That's why they're wrestlers. It's like, we don't, for some reason the fans seem to think that there's an issue if the wrestlers have issues with each other. Or we get so harped up on the fucking Montreal Screwjob from 22 years ago. Like, people are still thinking about that. Like, anytime, read Roland Barthes, The Perfect Bastard. Roland Barthes wrote an essay about professional wrestling from France in like the 1920s, okay? It still holds true today. I wrote a term paper on this stuff. So the point is, I talked about Shane Douglas in ECW, The Perfect Bastard. It's, let's not stop having the wrestlers be wrestlers. The wrestlers are supposed to be crazy. They're supposed to be fucking nuts. They're supposed to be do stupid things and be crazy and get arrested and drunk in public and all types of weird things. And yeah, and certain things are unseemly that we don't want them to do, or we wouldn't support them if they did. But wrestlers, for the most part, are supposed to be a different breed of fucking people. They're going into a ring. A lot of times, whether it's male or female, they're barely clothed, they're half-clothed, or whatever the fuck. And they're grappling around in a competition that's really against us. The competition is to see, are we making noise? You know, and that was the thesis of my paper when I wrote about pro wrestling back in college, is the competition does exist. The competition is between the fans and the audience. Can they get a rise out of us? And social media, when implemented well, can certainly get a rise out of all of us. They did it with Jericho and Omega, or Omega and Jericho did it, I should say. So, of course, they deflated their whole fucking thing because the next day they did a fucking podcast to pat themselves in the ass about it. So, my point is, if Nia Jax is twittering about Ronda Rousey, and you, whoever the fuck you are getting upset, or thinking, why is she bitching about Ronda, or good for her for bitching about Ronda, and I'm just using the term bitch not as a female thing, but just as a term that people use, okay, bitch and moan, that you're being worked. Hopefully, I mean, or not. It doesn't matter, because if Nia is genuinely upset or genuinely hurt, you know, and I hate that term butt hurt that everyone uses, butt hurt. What the fuck does that mean? If she's genuinely upset that fucking Ronda Rousey's in this goddamn WWE and taking heat off Asuka's victory, you know, not Nia's victory, then we have a match. Then we have a fucking match. Okay, save it for Backlash, or save it for whatever the fuck. You know, TLC. I mean, you got all these goddamn 12 pay-per-views or network specials. Why do they call them pay-per-views now? They should be called network specials. They don't want you to pay-per-view them because they want the $10 a month to call them a network special. An NS. We have a WWE NS tonight. What's that? Network special. Fine, done. So, or NLS. Or just fucking NS. I was going to say network live special. Point fucking is, folks, don't put all this goddamn time, like I do it too, put all this time into these Twitter groups, these Facebook groups, whatever the fuck, trying to make some statement about wrestling. We don't know what the fuck we're talking about. For all we know, fucking Vince McMahon has his grandkids, you know, his fucking 3-year-old fucking grandson, Shane's 5-year-old sons who laugh during Kevin Owens matches in cages and Hells in the Cells and break character. Not good, McMahons. But they're sitting there probably running all these wrestlers' fucking social media. So who the hell are we to think that, you know, Nia Jax gives a flying fuck about Ronda Rousey, or that they're all fucking feeling hurt, butt hurt, if you want to call it that, which is such a stupid term. My point is, social media, when used at its finest, could build up matches, add layers. But I think that what wrestling fans, in some weird way, want is for the wrestlers to not be wrestlers. They want all the wrestlers to be friends. Wrestlers should not be friends. They should be enemies. So, that's it.